Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm trying to get a hold of the registrar of voters, Tim Dupuy, because Mike Hutchinson, who is the focus of this Facebook page, is claiming that he is the winner of his competition election to be on the Oakland School Board. And Mike, I've had Mike on here. Uh, I tried to get Mike on. He was being, um, for me, uncharacteristically closed about it. Like, I don't want to talk because it's my group. And I'm thinking, what? So, so me being whatever, the bottom line is I am determined to get this out because regular followers of my channel know god doggone well that I have had the registrar on. We talked and you heard him admit that there was an anomaly in ranked choice voting. I had Sean Duger on here who expressed confidence in ranked choice voting. Mike's position essentially is, look, the registrar told me that he reran them and every other one came out the same except me. But I called Lauren Taylor, okay? And in fact, let me call Lauren right now because I've got to clear this up. Hold on a second. Anyway, I talked to Lauren earlier, and Lauren had no idea what happened when I called him. And he said that that he'd like to find out more about what's going on. And so what Mike is reporting, according to his Facebook page, you can see here, he says, guess what? I just found out I won the election. It turns out there was an error in the ranked choice voting algorithm. When it was corrected and the result was rerun, I ran. I won. Now I need to find a lawyer and sue to overturn the election certification in next week. It's crazy, but I won. And so you get these, reactions like, oh my God, incredible. Wow. How did you find out? Was the algorithm error applied all white choices? And he says the county head of elections, that's Tim Dupuy, called him at 10:30 a.m. today, said they reran all the Oakland races and mine was the only one that produced a different result when the error was corrected. All right. And I wrote, tell that to Lauren Taylor because I called, all right, because Lauren wants to know. A number of people want to know. Jeff Rebeck says, wow. Brandon Dawkins says, just made my year with this news. Darren Mush says, this is amazing and fascinating. As a computer programmer, I'm really curious about what the fix was. Hopefully the head of elections will publish more details about what the issue was. All right. And so I should just sort of plop my previous video on that I had on with Tim Dupuy. We talked about this and he admitted there was an anomaly. He admitted that there was a problem. And in case you don't remember that video, that exchange, I will pull it up for you right now, so you can have a look at it because I actually posted it here amid this set of reactions. But right here, that was first, and Mike says this is not what happened in my race, but he doesn't know what I was covering. Mike does what Mike does. He does that. He makes assumptions, and it's kind of like, okay, Mike. And so, and I wrote, you never read that entire post of the follow-up. All right. And it's right here. Okay. So Tim Dupuy right here talked about that with me, this very anomaly. All right. He talked about the anomaly. I'm about to present it right here as I get it. So I'm actually repositioning my page share so I can do that, stopping that screen and getting the other one, which is here. And it opens up. See, here's what Mike is forgetting. Politics is about image. And right now, what we're looking at, pure and simple, can only be described as blood in the water. Okay? And that's it. Blood in the water. And no other way to put it. No other way to put it than blood in the water. And so what I'm trying to do, hold on a second here. There it is. There's the interview that I conducted with Mr. Dupuy. And let's pick up what we're talking about here. All right.
Erase that from the previous day. That was a snapshot of if I ran the algorithm yesterday, this is what the race would look like.
Can you explain what it means to run the algorithm? Because it sounds to me like you're saying it's a simulation. And you did use the term simulation.
I did that. I'm trying to, from the standpoint of voter education, trying to, because algorithm seems so computer, right? And I've been told that maybe simulation is a better way to put it, because it's not the final results until I certify, right?
Well, so here's the thing, though. As a guy who built a computer model, the Oakland A's, which could be used in the classroom in 2003 to 2010, when Michael Bean killed my game, shame on him. That's another story entirely, okay?
You have to tell me about it.
Yeah, simulations are algorithms. And I built an algorithm to model what happens with ticket consumption with respect to economic performance in the model, right? And go on and on and on. All right, there's 946 equation sets. Okay. Point I'm making is it's essentially the same, but what we're talking about here aren't people. We're not talking about robots. We're talking about people who cast a vote and they made a choice. And to my mind, that's something that shouldn't be simulated. That should be just actual. Boom, boom, boom. And we should have a real-time able way of counting it. But it sounds like to me you're saying we don't have that.
Yeah, so what we have is, because we at that point in time don't have all the votes in the system, right? We're still counting votes. So let's say it's Monday and we're at 5 o'clock. And I want to give people a snapshot of where everything is at that point with what it is that we have counted so far, right? So for all of the traditional races, they're going to get where they are with the first count, because there's not choices, right? So, for the yes/no measures and so on, we're going to see how they're doing. And are they close? Are they getting closer? So we're comfortable with that, right? Now, it's an algorithm. So we have now got so many votes in with all of the different choices. So Monday we have a certain number of votes in. Well, so that's now in the system. And the next step, since you understand code, is, okay, we've got it in the database. We now have all of those votes to that point in time in the database. Have the ranked choice algorithm, which is another program, call it an app, run it against that data so that we can post, given what we have in the database right now, what would the results be? And so then when we get to Tuesday, now we've added a certain number of additional votes into the database, right? We've been able to scan more, and we then we've got the database with a new set. I mean, it's got the ones that we had on Monday plus some additional ones. Mm-hmm. And we run the algorithm or the app against that database. And we say, now Tuesday, ranked choice voting against what's in the database now would look like this.
Yeah.
So if there's not a whole lot of new votes added into that race, then, as we start to get more votes, percentage is probably not going to change as much, right?
Yeah, question.
Hmm.
The idea that there's an algorithm that's running against the database implies the existence of an error term. Has
An
anyone,
error term?
Yeah. In other words, since you're not actually manually sitting there and counting votes as they're split, all right, mechanistically, all right, it begs the question, is the algorithm properly operating to represent what you and I and a bunch of other people would do, which is basically sit down and hand count these votes? Okay, Alyssa's vote goes to Shang, Alyssa's vote goes to Peter Liu, or
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. The algorithm, again, and I'm going to go back to our discussions at the beginning. There's some very smart people up at the Secretary of State that have evaluated, tested, and certified that. I keep calling it an algorithm. I just want to make that's what we call it. You want to call it an application, you want to call it a program.
Sure.
But the Secretary of State has, fully vetted and certified that program that we use, just like they've certified the ImageCast X, just how they've certified everything else in the system. And they've said that it tests and does exactly what you said. If we did it manually, we would come out with the same outcome as what the algorithm is doing against the data in the database.
But it begs the question, though. Did anybody do that kind of evaluation for the device as used for this election? Because here's why I say that. I've been at this matter quite a while, and whatever label you put on who does what is like, okay? It's the process and the math. That's all I care about, the process and the math. And that's what I'm trying to drive home with everybody. Stop thinking about politics and left, right, and all this stuff, and start thinking tech. Because this digital divide is going to wreck you if you don't pay attention to it and start asking detailed questions. It's not an insult of you at all. You're a great person. No. I'm talking about what seems to me to be a question that needs to be asked even at the level of the Secretary of State.
Right.
Hey, did you evaluate this particular device against a real-time equivalent of you and I sitting down and actually counting? Because if there is a difference, Tim, that is an error term. And it sounds like that exists.
It does exist. Yeah, the Secretary of State has gone through the level of vetting, I believe, that you're talking about.
Okay. But you're not certain. But you're not certain.
Oh, no, I am certain that they've gone through the vetting. Okay. And then we have our logic and accuracy testing, which, gives some degree of testing as well at the local level. And then we have our 1% manual tally that we do. And I think you're familiar with that. We randomly select 1% of all votes, and we hand count that 1%, and we report that up to the Secretary of State. And for this election,
ranked choice voting, though, because we're talking about ranked.
And even for the ranked choice voting. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Because again, it's weird. It still needs to be checked that you could have a near exact same percentage coming out every run. I don't know. There's this popular thing who does that.
Zenny, I understand your concern. I'm telling you what safeguards are in process, in place.
You agree it needs to be checked out.
You'll send me what you have. I understand what you're talking about. We'll take a look at it. I'm very confident that the system is doing it properly, that it's counting properly. But we'll we can take a look. Send what you have.
Because see, what you should be able to do, right, is you should be able to go back and evaluate the run again and say, if it's possible to do, say, what did it do here?
Well, what we've talked about, Zenny, I think as well, is we've made the cast vote record. And we talked about that, and I'll just describe what that is.
Well, you're going to send me the information.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I can send you the cast vote record.
We both were supposed to send each other things, right?
It's been busy, Zenny, okay? So the cast vote record is every single vote as we've recorded it in the database. So that's on request. That's publicly available. We can give that out, and you can see what the recorded choices were for every vote. So it's not just us looking at it. That's, for full transparency, that's available so people can take a look. If they want to run it through their statistical analysis, they can take a look at it. But that shows how all of the votes were cast in all of the different choices.
Yeah, and on each day.
Don't know that. I'm not sure that it shows a timestamp. I can't answer that. We'll have to take a look. I wouldn't want to on camera say it without knowing it.
Because I'm really interested in why that same percentage for each run came about.
I understand what you're driving at.
I'm not sure that what you're sending me will get at that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if we're going to be seeing that through the cast vote record.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is that the safeguards that
we have a problem.
I don't know that we have a problem, Zenny. We have to check into things to see what's going on. You have an observation. We need to take a look at it. So I don't know that it indicates that we have a problem.
Well, I hate to press you on this, but I'm sort of working backward. You agree that that anomaly sounds unusual and it should be looked at. You said that, right?
No, I believe I said that we can see a lot of different things. I said that we will take a look at what you're talking about to the extent that we can.
But here's the thing, though. Again, understand, if you and I are counting votes every single day, and at the end of our vote count, we should expect a significant percentage difference in vote transfers from one day to the next, even at different times during that day. But to get the same percentage, Tim, the same percentage is impossible.
So I don't know that I can agree to that, Zenny.
Okay, so give me an example that proves otherwise.
Well, so let's take a look at
seriously, because at some point you have to just kind of lean into the logic, or if you want to put our Star Trek hat on, what is the logical expectation that produces a pattern, as Mr. Spock would ask. One of my favorite character in history. Should be in this instance, all right? But absent an explanation straight away, which you don't have.
I haven't had a chance to dive into your question, right?
Right. Which you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we have something, just by your admission right there, that has to be looked into. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So we can take a look at it, but I'm very confident that we're reflecting how the voter voted. So I'm very confident that the system is working the way it's supposed to. I'm very confident that the votes were transferred the way they were supposed to be transferred. We do get questions. So
I'm not concerned with how the voter voted. I'm concerned with its mathematical pattern. If it comes out, we analyze it, and hey, maybe there was a difference, right? Okay, and then the vote came out the same. Okay, fine. But the fact that there was a difference versus what was reported is a problem unto itself. I am not talking about who won the election. I am talking about a mathematical impossibility. I want that made perfectly clear. That's what I'm saying. Perfectly clear. Clear as a bell. That's got to be checked out because, look, everybody should want an election that looks like, hey, look, this is exactly what happened. And when you start using different formulas and programs, as we talked about, sometimes if you don't properly test those formulas and programs, you don't know exactly how they're working under each circumstance.
Yeah, and I keep saying I'm confident that the algorithm, the program for ranked choice voting has been tested, and that we've used it. We're not the only ones that have used it. San Francisco is the one that is also using the exact same program. So we're all testing it. We're all looking at it. But the Secretary of State ultimately is the institution that has vetted it, has approved it, has certified it as saying that it is operating properly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with us taking a look at the concern, but everything that I see says that the system is working as programmed, it's doing what it's supposed to, and the outcome would be the same if we did it by hand.
All right. So that was part of my interview with him. Now, here's a follow-up, because while that was going along, folks, I received from the registrar the press release they just put up. I went to the county election site to get it. It's not coming up, like, for reasons having to do with caching, but I have it right here. I'm going to read it. Ranked choice voting to final tallies. Several jurisdictions used ranked choice voting, RCV, to conduct their elections in the county of Alameda. The ranked choice voting learned that it reads the ROV learned, the registrar of voters, learned that its ranked choice voting tally system was not configured properly for the November 2022 general election. I will repeat this. Remember what you just heard, okay? From Dupuy. The ranked choice voting, the registrar of voters learned that its ranked choice voting tally system was not configured properly for the November 2022 general election. It should have been configured to advance ballots to the next ranking immediately when no candidate was selected for a particular round. This means that if no candidate was selected in the first round on the ballot, then the second round ranking would count as the first round ranking. Oh, getting somewhere here, okay? The third round ranking would count as the second round ranking, and so on. For the November 2022, I think I see a problem here, folks. Another problem. For the November 2022 general election, the setting on the county's equipment counted the ranked choice voting ballots in the manner in which the ballot was completed, meaning no vote was registered for those ballots in the first round of counting because those voters did not identify a valid candidate in a particular rank on the ballot. Once it became aware of the issue, this is opening up a giant can of worms. The registrar of voters immediately investigated it. The registrar of voters worked with its vendor to figure out the source of the issue and resolve it. After reviewing the election data and applying the correct configuration, the ranked choice voting learned that only one outcome was affected: Oakland School Director District 4 for the Oakland Unified School District. And then in bold, Tim writes, no other result for any other ranked choice voting election in any jurisdiction was changed. I'd like to see that data. The registrar of voters has notified the City of Oakland, Oakland Unified School District, School Director, District 4 candidates, and the Secretary of State. The ranked choice vote is currently working, or registrar of voters, is currently working with this vendor to provide safeguards so that this does not happen again in future elections. But see, Tim swore up and down in my interview that the software was reviewed. You heard him. The software was reviewed, and that it's always reviewed and it's always tested. And this reveals that really it's not. Okay? Because the other question that opens up here is, all right, how did it come to a point where the registrar of voters learned that its ranked choice voting tally system was not configured properly for the November 2022 general election? All right. How did they learn that? Okay. How did they learn that? All right. And why is it that only one race would be impacted? Because see, this now goes into a real credibility issue. This is a giant credibility issue. All right? Because I have Tim's statements on record, video, talking about, hey, we're confident in the system, it works, we tested it, all this. Now we have indications that, well, did you really? Because the other question I would have is, what else would be found if someone really took a deep dive look at this? Okay? So it's not enough to say, well, we found it only impacted one election. I find it really hard to believe that the digits for reporting the voting outcomes for all these races were not impacted in some kind of way, even if just a tiny bit. That's important to know. That's very important to know. That is extremely, very important to know. Hold on one second. This is disturbing. Oh, hey, sorry to bother, but I got a problem, and I'm live. They can't hear you, but here's the thing. Tim Dupuy just issued a press release, and I just read it. And what it said. First of all, I'm gonna read it. Do you mind coming on live so I can read it to you? This is all right. Okay, got it. Not a problem. All right. Let me explain without doing that. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the video where I was talking with Tim and he basically admitted, hey, there's a problem here. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. This press release calls his claims regarding saying that the software was tested into question, because now he's saying, hey, look, and it starts off and it says, hey, registrar of voters found an error in the ranked choice voting algorithm. That is a clear sentence in the press release. It starts off that way. And then Mike Hutchinson is like, well, this is basically Mike's take. Well, I'm good, so I don't care about anything else, basically. Yeah. Wow. It's like there's obviously a major damage here. I mean, obvious. And so my question is, wait a minute. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No. Right, because he basically says, okay, that turned out different, but wait a minute. What about the margin of victory or the difference between you and Shang Tao? Okay, that's you gonna mean to tell me with all this is gonna stick at 677? I mean, what if it's at 670? I mean, it's still something that they need to report on. You know, it is. This is awful, man. This is like I'm gonna call Susan. Uh, eh, yeah, automatic. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep. No, it's just a big mess, man. Where I say this euphemistically, Happy New Year. All right. Well, no, I guess I do more digital marketing. That other part don't pay much, but it's maybe I'll do it the way that nonprofit does it, where they do everything under the table. Ha ha ha. But all right, man. Exactly. There you go. Yeah. This might have been more of that. You never know. Wow. I enjoy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, give me first. Give me first bite, man. All right. See ya. Okay. See ya. See ya. Yeah. Lawrence Taylor's not ready to go public, but we had talked about this when it first hit. Um, and you heard me read Tim Dupuy's press release off to you. Okay. And that's what Mike's not getting. I was trying to explain to Mike Hutchinson. I said, Mike, this is damaging. I said, you just upended the Oakland mayor election because anybody in politics and everybody in politics knows damn well that appearances matter. And if something looks hinky, the public is going to say, hey, that's hinky. And right now, this thing looks hinky. Okay? Straight out. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. I'm going to make another vlog and follow up on this. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That is this broadcast.